I agree that the dollar is a problem. Bitcoin is not the solution to that problem. It's a bigger problem.
That's what
Bitcoin is. First of all, yeah, of course people want to buy Bitcoin. They don't want it because they want to use it as a medium of exchange. They don't want it as a replacement for the dollar or the euro. They think they're going to get rich. People want to buy Bitcoin because they think it's going to the moon, right? They don't think that's going to happen to gold. They know it's not going to happen to the dollar. So, but when people actually want a alternative to fiat money, something that can be both a store of value, a unit of account, and a medium of exchange, then they would want to have your tokens backed by gold much more than Bitcoin. Bitcoin can never be a store of value. You could buy Bitcoin today at 60,000 and in a month it could be at 10,000. It could be lower. It's not a store of value. Just because it went way up, that's a speculative asset. That's not a stable, conservative store of value. All you're looking at is a small window of time, and you're seeing this huge 10-year bubble where people have gambled and gotten rich hodling something that's basically intrinsically worthless. And when you say something like gold has no value, well, basically, according to you, nothing has any value. There's no value in anything, and it's all worthless. And therefore, we might as well buy Bitcoin because nothing on this earth has any actual value. And so, okay, then we can just describe value. No, you said gold is worthless. Gold has no value. That is such nonsense.
All right, Alex, let Peter finish that thought.
I said all three of them derive their value from exactly the same source, which is
no, they don't.
Well,
no, they don't. Gold,
they do.
No, gold,
right? I mean,
no. Bitcoin.
You agree that behind the US dollar, there's about $100 trillion of unfunded liability.
Look, I agree that the dollar is a problem. Bitcoin is not the solution to that problem. It's a bigger problem. Bitcoin is.
All right.
Bitcoin is 100% faith, trust.
Alex, let's address Peter's point of whether Bitcoin is indeed a currency or a store of value asset, or is it a speculative asset? Because that was one of the counterpoints that Peter was making. So let's tackle that issue.
Again, I can say that gold is a speculative asset. Because
but focusing on Bitcoin, should we be looking at it as a currency?
Bitcoin,
or store of value,
gold, and US dollars are all speculative assets. They're all speculative assets. Why? Because they all depend every day on are there more buyers or sellers. Okay, the value of dollars is determined every day by how many buyers and sellers show up for the US dollar. And against all odds, the US dollar is increasing in value, right? In the last few weeks, against all odds, with the inflation numbers and the bond markets freezing, and the COVID and everything else, more and more people are buying dollars. So because when there's this uncertainty, people feel more safe with the US dollar than with other fiat currencies. And the same way that the US dollar goes up and down in value, gold goes up and down in value, the same way Bitcoin goes up and down in value. The rules are exactly the same. Claiming that one of them is somehow different than another.
Yes, you are missing the fundamental difference here. I mean, when people demand dollars, it's because they need them to settle transactions. People are still using the dollar as a medium of exchange. First of all Americans need dollars to pay taxes. I mean, because taxes are required to be paid in dollars. So there's always going to be demand. But people are buying oil, OPEC prices oil in dollars. There are all sorts of global trades that are settled in dollars. There's an entire bond market. That is in dollars. So the world is using dollars. Now, I agree, eventually they'll stop because they shouldn't be using dollars, but they are. So there's demand. There is demand for gold. I mean, only about 2 trillion of gold's, 13 trillion market cap is investors holding gold. The rest of it is used in industry, or central banks hold it as their main reserve other than fiat. But most of it is used. I mean, it's used in jewelry. It's used in electronics. There are people who need gold, and they buy gold every day because they need it. Nobody needs Bitcoin for anything.
Yes, they do.
The only people, let me finish. The only people buying Bitcoin are people who think the price is going to go up. You know, earlier you said, what does the institutions buying Bitcoin prove that it's the new store of value? The only thing Bitcoin proves is that P.T. Barnum was right. There's a sucker born every minute, and those suckers are buying Bitcoin. This is without a doubt the biggest scam I've seen in my entire investment career. Of all the bubbles that I've witnessed, from the dot-com to housing, nothing can compare with the idiocy of Bitcoin and the complete, that nonsense that I hear people say in support of Bitcoin, and the things that they say about gold to try to diminish its value, to try to create this false appeal for Bitcoin. I've never seen anything more ridiculous. Nothing that I heard people say during the dot-com bubble or the housing bubble can compare to the irrational comments that I hear every day from people about Bitcoin.
All right, Alex, let's talk on the utility aspect that Peter brings up. What is Bitcoin's utility?
So it's Peter and Jamie Dimon against the rest of the world. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Look,
the whole world is not in on Bitcoin. Stop exaggerating.
Well, Peter, we have seen the adoption rate increase at a drastic pace, something like 2,300% just from the last quarter of 2019, about 880% from June of last year to this year. So the adoption rate is increasing exactly 2,300% since the third quarter of 2019. So the trend is pointing to mass adoption.
No, it's not pointing to mass adoption. Not even close. There are more people using it, but they're using it for speculation. They're not using it as a medium of exchange. They're not. It's not a currency. They're not doing anything with it.
Well, Peter, what would you say to the idea?
I have 1.5 million customers, so I think I know a little bit better than you what they're using.
Yeah, they're gambling on Bitcoin. That's what they're doing.
Well, I met many of my customers, and I can tell you most of them.
All right.
Again, one Bitcoin is still one Bitcoin. The only thing that changed,
yes,
that
it's still worthless.
It's taking $60,000 to buy one instead of $6,000 to buy one. So most of my customers, right? Most of my customers are trying to detach themselves from the dollar fiat system, and this is what we started the conversation.
Yes, and they think they're going to get, and they think they're going to get rich in Bitcoin. If they thought Bitcoin had, if they think Bitcoin has stopped going up, they're going to want to sell their Bitcoin and buy stuff. They're going to want to spend it.
Gold,
they're going to